Shalom, shalom, shalom. All praises to the Most High. Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, which is to say in the Paleo Hebrew, Yahweh, which is the name of our Heavenly Father, meaning He is, and that is who the world ignorantly calls God. Bahashem, which means in the name, Yahweh Shai, which means in the Paleo Hebrew, He is our salvation. And that is who the world also ignorantly calls Jesus, a so-called black man, who, by the way, only came for the Israelites, all right? Now, this is a P.S.A, a public service announcement, all right? A P.S.A. Don't leave it up to chance, all right? Don't leave it up to chance. Because if you're just chancing that any old person that you think is in the spirit is feeding you correct information for your salvation, you're sadly mistaken. We're at the end of this thing. So it's not good enough for you to just guess whether or not that person that you think is sent to give you vital information is right for the job. You have to try the spirit, okay? This is a public service announcement, okay? We're too close to the end to leave it up to chance, okay? This is the book of 1 John chapter 4 and verse 1. It reads, "Beloved, believe not every spirit." See? Because there are spirits that out there that are deceptive, that looks the part, that plays the part, but it isn't the part. See? That's why you have what? Wolves in sheep clothing. They look like a sheep. They may even act like a sheep, but underneath they're wolves, ravening wolves, looking to tear you apart. This is a P.S.A, a public service announcement. We're too close to the end to leave it up to chance. It says, believe not every spirit, but try the spirits, whether they are of the Most High. Because many false prophets are gone out into the world. See? Now we know coming into this truth, a lot of those false prophets are in the Christian churches. But now, at the end of this thing, they're even in the truth. Okay? Talking a good game like a wolf in sheep's clothing. Acting a good game like a wolf in sheep's clothing. But they're not a prophet of the Most High on the right-hand side, because he can't give prophets the ability to deceive the mass and put a lying spirit on them. See? So it says, beloved, believe not every spirit. Just because they know that they are Israelite, just because they teaching you certain things, it says, believe not every spirit, but try the spirits, whether they are of the Most High. See? Go into the doctrine. See what they teach. See if their spirit jives or mesh with the spirit of Yahweh Shai. And we're going to see what spirit that is. It says, try the spirits, whether they are of the Most High, because many false prophets are going out into the world. See? And we at the end of this thing. Hereby know ye the spirit of the Most High. Every spirit that confesses that Yahweh Shai Hamashiach is come in the flesh is of the Most High. See? And if they were confessing that, they would actually be in the spirit of Yahweh Shai. And we're going to see what that spirit is. It says, in every spirit that confesseth not that Yahweh Shai Hamashiach is come in the flesh is not of the Most High. See? This is why we have to learn how to try the spirit. All right? Because we're too close to the end to leave it up to chance, man. All right? Another one of the precepts that comes to mind is study to show thyself approved, man. An individual can only show you so much. You have to put in the other part to look up and to back and to see if what they're seeing is in line with what the scriptures say. Study to show thyself approved. P.S.A. Public service announcement. We're too close to the end to leave it up to chance. It says, in every spirit that confesseth not that Hamashiach or Yahweh Shah Hamashiach is come in the flesh is not of the Most High. And this is that spirit of Antichrist or anti-Hamashiach. It says, whereof ye have heard that it should come. And even now already is it in the world. See? Because we knew waking up to this truth that Christians, they don't call on Yahweh Shai. They don't believe in the Father. See, they think that the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit are one. They deny Yahweh Shai. All right? They deny who they call Jesus Christ because they say he's the Father. That whole Trinity BS, man. See, we woke up to that. So now we face even a more deceptive spirit. Because why? Now these spirits have crept into the truth and are now being used to filter out who the Lord wants in the truth. Because if he doesn't want you in this truth, he's going to give you over to one of these lying, deceiving spirits. Okay? Because you got individuals that say that Yahweh Shai's name is Yeshaya, or the Father name is Ahiah. See? You got other spirits that's saying that the Father name is Yahuwah. See? This is why we try the spirits. Okay? Because it's too close to the end. The Lord is getting ready to show up. And if you don't got the names, and if you're not in the spirit of what? Yahweh Shai, you ain't going to be prepared already. See, and the Lord gave us prophets that will feed us according to his heart, man. And it's a certain way these prophets would feed us and teach us. And we're going to get it. Just be patient. So it says, wherefore ye have heard that it should come, and even now already is it in the world. See? False prophets after their own bellies crept in unawares. Okay? You thinking you getting knowledge, and to a lesser degree, you may even be getting knowledge. But if you're not getting the names and what comes behind the names, you're not getting fed properly or appropriately. You getting fed, but it ain't what you need. It ain't giving you the essential nutrients. It's not nourishing, okay? It's just a bunch of empty carbs. So you want something that's going to stick to your stomach, that's going to get you through the day, okay? And you can't get that with any other spirit other than this spirit right here that we're going to show you. Revelation chapter 19 and verse 10. This is the book of Revelation chapter 19 and verse 10. It reads, "And I fell at his feet to worship him. And he said unto me, See thou do it not. I am thy fellow servant and of thy brethren that have the testimony of Yahushua." This is how we try the spirits. Do these individuals, do these groups, do they possess the testimony of Yahushua? It says, worship the Most High, for the testimony of Yahushua is the spirit. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. The testimony of Yahushua is the spirit of prophecy. See? A lot of these individuals, they lack prophecy. A lot of these groups, they lack prophecy. And we're too close to the end to leave it up to chance. Here it is. We're in the midst of this devil getting ready to implement the prophecy, the mark of the beast, and you don't know what it is? Come on, man. Stevie Wonder could see what the mark of the beast is, so why can't you? Because you've been brought and sold. Okay? You took the bag. You compromised. Here it is. America is getting ready to be destroyed. And you telling your congregation that they can get on a cruise or a ship and just flee? Flee America? That's not the spirit of Yahushua, which is what? The testimony of prophecy. That's not the spirit of prophecy, which is the testimony of Yahushua. This is why we got to try the spirits. This is why we started off with this is a public service announcement. You have to do the legwork. The Lord will put you in the position to see if that person, individual, group is coming in the spirit of prophecy or in the spirit of something else. And if it's something else, they're not in the spirit, or they don't have the testimony of Yahushua, which is the spirit of prophecy. And we have to try the spirits, okay? We got to try them, man. All right, because if you take that microchip, that's it. You failed the test on this side. You have to be destroyed. And if whoever you think is being put over charged to give you this knowledge ain't telling you this, you already lost. Okay? You already lost, man. All right? One second. So you already lost without the spirit, without the testimony of Yahushua. Now, I want to look up this word testimony in the Greek. This is the word testimony.
Strong's G 3141, marturia. Marturia.
It goes into testifying, the office committed to the prophets of testifying concerning future events. See? This is what the testimony of Yahushua is, the spirit of prophecy concerning future events. We in the future, all right? Because a lot of these prophecies that were given to our forefathers was back then. But now we're here in that time where we're seeing them come to pass. And if whoever you think is set up over you to tell you how to work out your own salvation isn't giving you key prophecies that you need to be on the lookout and get prepared for, they're not coming in the testimony of Yahushua, which is the spirit of prophecy. It says, the office committed to the prophets of testifying concerning future events. See? This is what a prophet does, man. So who are you being directed by? Is you being directed by someone that's coming in the testimony of Yahushua, which is the spirit of prophecy? Or are you being deceived by someone that's saying that they coming in the testimony of who they call whatever name it is, but isn't? And that's for the most part, a lot of our people. They leave the Christian church only to come into the truth that they think and then get what? Bamboozled here too. See? That's why you have to try the spirit. All right? We open up with that in 1 John 4:1. Try the spirit, beloved. Believe not every spirit, but try it. All right? So let's read that again. Revelation 19:10. And I fell at his feet to worship him. This is John on the island of Patmos. It says, and he said unto me, see thou do it not. And the angel told him, don't do that. It says, I am thy fellow servant and of thy brethren that have the testimony of Yahushua. See? Which we know is future events, prophecies. Worship the Most High for the testimony for the future events concerning the prophets of Yahushua is the spirit of prophecy. This is how you know that you in the right boat if who you following has correct breakdown knowledge of prophecies. That's the spirit of Yahushua. That's the spirit you want to be in. Anything else won't suffice. Okay? Too close to the end to leave it up to chance. Let's go to 1 John chapter 2 and verse 18. This is the book of 1 John chapter 2 and 18. It reads, little children, that's another name for the elect. It is the last time, and as ye have heard that Antichrist shall come. See? Those that don't believe in the Father and the only begotten Son. Those that deny that Yahushua came in the flesh. Those that deny the testimony of Yahushua, which is the spirit of prophecy. Those are the Antichrists. It says, shall come. Even now are there many, not just one, many Antichrists or Hamashiach. So it's not just one, because Christianity will tell you that it's this one Antichrist that he's going to come on the scene and all. That's BS, man. The Holy Bible says that there are many anti-Hamashiachs. All right, and a lot of them come out of the Christian church. But now they're in the truth, okay? Infiltrating it, going into it, trying to get whoever to believe them, to give them their money, to give them whatever else resources they have, and to leave them ultimately high and dry, okay? That's what's going to be the end game for those that the Lord don't want, okay? So it says, little children, it is the last time, and as ye have heard that anti-Hamashiach shall come, even now are there many anti-Hamashiachs, whereby we know that it is the last time. See? And this is another sign that what? We at the end. We at the end of this man's kingdom. Because there's many anti-Hamashiachs, false prophets, those that aren't coming in the spirit of prophecy, which is the testimony of Yahweh, because they don't believe he came in the flesh. See? This is why we have to study to show ourselves approved. All right? Let's go there. I believe that's Philippians 2:15. It's been a while. Nope. What is it? This is the book of 2 Timothy, chapter 2:15. It reads, study to show thyself approved unto the Most High. So when the Most High gives you over to a man after his heart, you study, all right? And you see whether or not that man is saying what's in a line or what's in accordance with what the Holy Bible says, okay? This is why we just don't take everybody's word. We got to do what? Study, okay? And once we study, we see whether or not that this said individual has the testimony of Yahweh, which is the spirit of prophecy, okay? This is what it comes down to. So it says, 2 Timothy 2:15, study to show thyself approved, because if it was this easy, everybody would have it, okay? Everybody would have it, but this is what separates the elect, because they do what? They make their calling and election sure, okay? And they gonna add and see whether or not what this said individual is saying is in accordance with what Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai says. And if it's not, you already know what's up, okay? And if it is, then you know you're on the right path, okay? So it says, study to show thyself approved unto the Most High. See, because it also says in Mark 4:24 that what? Let's read it. This is Mark chapter 4 and verse 24. This is Yahweh Shai speaking, red letters. It says, and he said unto them, take heed what you hear. See? So he said, take heed what you hear. With what measure you meet, it shall be measured to you. So if the Lord puts you in the path of a man after his heart and you don't take heed and you don't think it's quintessential to your salvation, then you may have just blown your opportunity. It says, it shall be measured to you, and unto you that hear shall more be given. But unto you that take heed and study to show yourself approved, the Lord will open you up to more. He's not going to just give you everything, not willing to work for it. You got to work for it, man. See, Jake just won't shit on a silver platter, man. It don't work that way in its truth. The Lord opens you up. He gives you something. And if you don't make the most of it, that may be your only opportunity. Okay? So let's see how this looks in another translation. This is the NLT. It says, then he added, pay close attention to what you hear. The closer you listen, the more understanding you will be given, and you will receive even more. See? So if you see a prophet, a servant saying something and you don't take heed and you don't listen, how much more is the Lord going to give you more, mysteries and understanding to this Bible? Because you showing that you don't have time for the Lord. So if you don't make time for the Lord, guess what? He ain't going to make time for you. It's just that simple. All right? So now let's go back and read that. It says, and he said unto them, take heed what you hear. Take heed what you hear, what measure you meet. It shall be measured to you. And unto you that hear shall more be given. See, that's why you have to make this your top priority. All right? That's why you have to study to show yourself approved. Okay? Because if this ain't important enough for you, then the Lord, hey, he ain't going to open you up to anything. All right? So let's go back to that in 2 Corinthians, what was that? 2 Timothy 2:15. It says, study to show thyself approved unto the Most High, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed. See? Oh, no, I couldn't do it. I had something else to do, Ark. Nah, you don't need to be ashamed of this truth, man. You need to get in a line, and you need to get in a line with what this truth says, and you need to study to show yourself approved. All right, it says a man with little business will become wise in the scriptures. Roughly paraphrasing, but I believe that's in Sirach 2. And I may just have to get that because this is my second time I done said that within a day or two. And I want to make sure I'm quoting the right precept. So give me 1 second as I look this up in the book of Ecclesiasticus or Sirach in the Apocrypha, which you can find in your 1611 King James Bible. Okay? It's Ecclesiasticus 2. And what is it? Give me 1 second. You know what? It might be Ecclesiasticus 39. Come on now. I tell you. Little business. Search. Ecclesiasticus 38:24. See, I was off by a whole 36 chapters. This is the book of Ecclesiasticus, also known as Sirach, chapter 38:24. It says, the wisdom of a learned man cometh by opportunity of leisure, and he that have little business shall become wise. So when you study to show yourself approved unto the Most High, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, you have to put time aside to do so. If you're too ashamed to study, if you're too ashamed to, make this truth your priority, your number one priority, how much more the Lord when you call on him? He gonna be ashamed. All right? Let's look up that word ashamed. Because it says need not to be ashamed. So this is the Greek word for a shame.
Strong's G 422. Anepais juntos. Anepais juntos.
And you hear Esau messing with the audio, man. This damn devil, boy, I tell you. Esau, your time is up, man. It says, having no cause to be ashamed. Let's look up some of the root words. Nah, we won't go there. Let's see what this root word is looking like. Upon, on, at, by, position. Nope. Let's see what this root word. To disfigure. To dishonor. so need not to be dishonored. To suffuse with shame, make ashamed be ashamed. See? So a workman who need not to be dishonored. Because, hey, if you are not honorable in this truth, the Lord ain't going to honor you. So you don't need to be dishonored. You need to make this your number one priority. And if you don't got enough time to, seek Yahweh while he may be found, he ain't going to come looking for you when you call on his name. Because one, you don't got the name. Two, you don't believe his only begotten son came in the flesh, because if you did, you would have the testimony of Yahweh, which is the spirit of prophecy. You would try the spirit that whoever you getting the information from is in alignment with who Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai says. All right. So it says, study to show thyself approved unto the Most High, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, dishonor, rightly dividing the word of truth. See? Because you got, hirelings that, hey, they're going to tell you anything because it sounds good. And especially if that's what you want to hear. If you got them itching ears, you want to hear that the mark of the beast is sin and all this glory, or is sleeping with so-called white women or whatever. And that's a major prophecy, because if you get that wrong, you through, okay? That's one you can't afford to get wrong, especially, whoever you following after claims to be a prophet, claims to be, what was that word that we looked in that said, claims to have the testimony, which is future events of Yahushua, which is the spirit of prophecy. If they can't tell you what this prophecy is about, you might want to reconsider. Matter of fact, you want to run and get away as quick as possible, because they leading you for what? Failure. So it says, rightly dividing the word of truth. This is Jeremiah chapter 3 and verse 15. It reads, and I will give you pastors according to my heart. See? Which is what? This word. It says, which shall feed you with knowledge and understanding, so that you can study to show thyself approved. All right? So that you can look up words, so that you can look up scripture, so that you can get understanding. With all that understanding, with all that knowledge, get understanding. You got to get understanding with these prophecies. And unless the Lord puts you in the direct path of a man after his heart, you can't get the understanding of these prophecies. Okay? You can't get the full breakdown of these prophecies. You can't understand how the mark, which is the RFID microchip, the charagma, is what's going to be used to usher in this new world order. See? It's easy to those of us that have been put on the right path to get it, but sadly to say, you got some that can't see it. And we this close to the end, and they can't see what the mark of the beast is. Because why? They after an individual that is not after Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai's heart, the mind. It's truth. It says, one more time, and I will give you pastors according to my heart, which shall feed you with knowledge and understanding. See? With all thy wisdom, get understanding. Roughly paraphrasing. Let's see if we can get that understanding. I believe it's in Psalms. With all that understanding, get Let me see. Give me 1 second. With all thy getting, get understanding. Proverbs 4 and 7. Don't tell me I was looking at it. Okay, no, I wasn't looking at it. But this is Proverbs 4 and 7. It says, wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom. And with all thy getting, get understanding. See? So when we read Jeremiah 3 and 15, it says he will give you passages according to his heart that will feed you with knowledge and understanding. You get that from what? Wisdom. Okay? It says wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom. And with all thy getting that wisdom, get understanding. And where are you going to get the understanding? We just read it in Jeremiah 3 and 15. The Lord shall give you what? Pastors that will feed you according to his heart. Whose heart? Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai's heart. It says, and I will give you pastors according to my heart, which shall feed you with knowledge and understanding. So now you can understand the prophecies. Now you can try the spirits. Now you don't have to leave it up to chance being this close to the end. All right? Because why? You tried the spirits. Now, I don't know if we got this, but we'll recap just in case we didn't. 1 John 2 and 18. Little children, yep, we did that. It is the last time, and as you have heard that anti-Hamashiach shall come, even now are there many anti-Hamashiachs, whereby we know that it is the last time. Okay, let's get one more and then we close out. This is Matthew 24 and verse 5. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am the anointed, and shall deceive many. Because why? If you don't know that the testimony of Yahweh Shai is the spirit of prophecy, then guess what? You're going to believe anybody that's telling you that they are sent from, God or Jesus or whatever, not knowing that they deny that Yahweh Shai came in the flesh. They don't even believe in prophecy because Yahweh Shai prophesied. All right, Yahweh Shai was a prophet. Okay, let's look at the prophet. Let's look at the prophecy that he warned the people before it happened in 70 A.D. He said, "When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet," I believe that's the book of Daniel chapter 9. "Stand in the holy place. Whoso readeth, let him understand." See. And he was prophesying of what would take place in 70 A.D. Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains. All right. And this is where we went after the Holy Land was taken by the Roman soldiers. Those of us that took heed to this prophecy, we fled into the interior shores of Africa, where we later settled on the west coast of Africa, where a vast majority of us was brought over here to the Americas by the way of the transatlantic slave trade. All right. A lot of us was brought on this side of the globe or the earth by what? The transatlantic slave trade. Not saying that we all were, but a good portion of us were. All right. And Yahweh Shai prophesied it. And we read it right there. So when the spirit of Yahweh Shai is when the testimony of Yahweh Shai is the spirit of prophecy, that's how you know whether or not you following after someone that's after the heart of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. All right. They're going to have prophecy, if not a key component, at the doorstep of their ministry. And if they claiming to be a prophet, they damn sure well better have prophecy at their, forefront of their ministry. All right? Because the only men that should be prophesying are prophets. Okay? These Christian pastors and bishops and everything, that ain't gonna get you at the end what you need to get prepared for to know what's coming, man. See, they just after their own, bellies, to fill their own bellies, to get your money and then leave you high and dry. All right? So let's read that again. Matthew 24 and verse 5. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am the anointed, and shall deceive many. See? Because you don't know what to look for. Okay? You're going to believe anything you say. You're going to believe anything they say to you. All right? Because why? You didn't try the spirit. See? You didn't know that the testimony of Yahushua was the spirit of prophecy. And therefore, you bought whatever they sold you. All right? And to your detriment, because a lot of our people, speaking of the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, are going to be deceived and even led by these false prophets to take that microchip. All right? So this was your public service announcement that we're too close to the end to leave it up to chance, or too close to the end to be deceived. That might be even a better title. We're too close to the end to be deceived. All right, so let's go ahead and close out 1 Peter chapter 5 and verse 8. It reads, be sober, be vigilant. See? Don't leave it up to chance. Don't get deceived. We're too close to the end. This is a public service announcement. Because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour. See? He wants you thinking that you're on the right path all the while. You couldn't be farther from the truth. You way on the other side. That's what he wants. That's why he pays good money to these sellouts, to switch it up, to take away the names from you, to tell you that prophecy doesn't matter. All right, he paid good money for that, so that he can what? Deceive you and devour you. All right? So be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour. All right? So with that being said, pray someone was edified through this lesson. And until the next time, if it be the Lord's will, stay strong, stay in the faith. Hey, we almost home. Shalom. Peace.